Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelove, and this is Mayan Speedplay number 35. We left off in the middle of our 15-year Regency, so we get to hop right back in and still be in a long Regency. Best news, even, is that we have basically taken care of the rebellions in our vassals, and that kind of just means that we get to sit and enjoy not really doing all that much with our military forces or anything along those lines. Leon declared war on Killbus, so we can expect them to have a larger presence in South Africa. We also continue to colonize, which is what's going on right now. Hopefully we'll at least manage to colonize all of South America pretty soon. And we do just keep moving our troops around. It looks like Greece has some rebels again, which is weirdly nice because it means we get to use our armies for something. As terrible as it sounds, we are still converting peoples and just going about doing what we can. The rebels fall pretty quickly since there, weren't very many of them compared to the size of our forces. We may have to actively just siege that down. Also, one of our colonies finished, so we go ahead and just keep moving that forward, finishing that whole thing off as quickly as we can. We are also just kind of, mainly waiting, honestly. It looks like the Ottomans declared war, and we're probably just going to see that sort of thing a lot. We can probably support the independence of Terra Austriale after a fashion. We do go ahead and just send them a gift to get their relations with us positive. However, our relations with them are too negative, so we can't just do that yet, which is a bit of a bummer. Now, the idea is if... as you see, France is basically dead, so the idea being now that if we can just get them to rebel, then we can go into a war with the French for a little bit and just not be in our permanent truce. Although, ultimately, I do want Terra Austriale. We do go ahead and just go fight these Greek rebels, the revolutionaries. Europe is definitely in the point of just getting revolutionary rebels basically everywhere, which is a bit interesting and moderately, not actually worrying at all. Alright, at any rate, we just keep moving on. We're vacillating between plus 30 ducats a month and some negative number, and that just relates to whether or not we have our next colonist up. We are colonizing far over the 4 that we are allowed. However, it's not like there are very many other expenses that could really be affecting us. So it seems like it's a decent idea at the very least. As we just kind of blow through these final years of the game, which is kind of bittersweet in a way, since it would of course be very nice for us to be able to just maybe fill control of Africa, maybe charge into the Ottomans. We're getting a coalition against us, which was what that screen was. And our vassals are just not really complete. I guess Tunis is, and the other ones moderately are. The other ones, Greece isn't, is basically the thing. We are also just rolling on up. Hopefully we can just finish that bit of South America. And yes, so overall, we are also probably going to make a new army. We can only hire 11 new additional mercenaries, so we go ahead and raise it with considerable forces from our own manpower reserve, our own infantry units, which is something basically new to us in this game since our initial conquests. Our name on the map, as you just saw, is pretty fantastic now, and we are continuing to just convert peoples. I realize we also need to build ourselves a new naval group for all of these troops. We also have the risk of rebellion in Brazil, which apparently is just a consistent theme of this show. So we just park these troops there so that they can deal with the inevitable Brazilian revolution attempt, and just keep moving forces to various areas. France apparently just got the Estates General, which probably means that they are going to become a revolutionary republic in the near future. It does make sense that it would go to them, since they are by far the most tortured European country. We also managed to get our new queen in office, so we are going to declare war on basically every single person I think that we can successfully fight a war against in the next few years. which first of all means Yemen. We're going to just roll on into Yemen since they have no allies, and quite frankly I don't want to deal with the coalition that involves the Ottomans and several people in several different places, since that is just a bit tedious. We could go fight the French, do two things: end the revolution, which is now in full swing apparently, and to finish off control over Australia. We would have to fight the Ottomans to get the entire thing, but I think it's worthwhile to just knock off Terra Austriale. The war against Yemen's going pretty swiftly and successfully. We'll probably just transfer all these provinces to the Greeks. Tunis is dealing with the rebel problem, but now that we're actually invading people, we don't really have the troops to deal with all of this. We are still going to try, though, since we can't really let it all fall apart right now. And we do go ahead and just grant all of these territories to the Greeks. We will grant the remainder as well. We just wanted to do this through the method that lowers their desire for independence and whatnot. So now there are only 2 disparate Greek states instead of 3, now that we have combined them all like that. Alright, there are quite a few rebellions going on against our Tunisian vassals, which we do probably need to deal with. We aren't at war right now, which is pretty nice, as it's going to get a bit hectic once we declare war on what remains of the French Empire, simply because they're basically everywhere. Alright, we do also just start colonizing the north a bit. We'll send our forces on over and hopefully deal with these rebellions somewhat successfully. They do have quite a bit of rebels, though, so it's going to be a bit of a, not uphill battle, but we might end up getting to a point where our armies aren't fully manned. Overall, though, it looks like we did it fairly well, and more rebellions didn't just immediately break out, which is a pretty good sign that we'll be able to just keep going forward. Terra Austriale and their French overlords are now pretty much in our crosshairs. We can declare war on them, and I imagine it'll be a fairly easy war, and we'll manage to clean up our kind of disgusting borders in Australia before the end of the game. Alright, so with that all said and done, we have very little time left to actually see all of these things through to the end, which is going to be, at least in part, finishing off this Terra Austriale thing. We might go ahead and attack some French protectorates if we get the ability to do so before, the end of the game, which really just is going to reflect on whether or not we have troops vaguely in position or not. Alright, so with that all said and done, we are landing in France proper, however it's all being occupied by the Dutch and other people, and we are getting rebellions in our vassals at a kind of worrying rate now that we're actually using our military. We could declare war on Malaya, which sounds decently nice, and we do split our force up to just siege out these various French bits, and we just move that army over. Really, we're just going to move our army to various places and try to siege out all of these French islands. Just try to resolve all that as quickly as we can. More colonization, as we are getting really down to the wire with all of this. And yeah, so it looks as though we're not actually going to be able to do anything in France for a while since they're occupied by the Dutch. We are going after their capital, which interestingly enough is in some Borneo, I think it is. Alright, we do get another North African rebellion. We do put a leader with good siege in charge of that. We are going to send another force over to fight Malaya. This is not really what's going on screen right now. We are shipping more troops to the Greeks and then around. North Africa is kind of rebellious. We pull our army out to go deal with that right as the Dutch make peace. And now things are getting a little swift. We fight the French army. We manage to defeat and stack wipe them. We're going to probably fight Malaya if we can get away with it. There's a lot of rebels up in northern Tunis, which is probably more than we can actually deal with right now. In Egypt, though, it's fine. If we manage to pull together our and their forces, we can probably deal with the north, although I want to attack foreign states right now, since we only have a very limited window in which to do that, and afterwards, who really knows how the game is going to progress. Also, since this is an Iron Man game, I'm not sure if we can continue it afterwards, and at this point, weirdly enough, the game froze for a moment, which is what that was. We do go ahead and start making demands, and seeing just what it will take to basically break apart the entire French Empire, And while it would be technically possible, I'm not sure if it's feasible in the amount of time that we have left. Meanwhile, we are managing to clear out North Africa at least somewhat. We declared war on Ethiopia since it honestly just seemed like a war we could win in the time allotted. And we'll probably just feed them all to our green vassal over to their east, whose name I probably should have been able to say just then. At any rate, we are splitting our forces up. That was a much easier war than the last Ethiopian war. And we do end up declaring war on Malaya once we just verify who they're all allied to, which wasn't really all that concerning. So we do go ahead and declare that war. And now it's just going to be a matter of trying to intercept and destroy their army. We do manage to intercept it, we defeat it, but we do not destroy it. Alright, our forces are spreading out throughout Ethiopia. Hopefully we'll be able to just bring their country more or less to a close in the near future. Malaya and all of these areas are starting to become a bit of a quagmire, so we might not get all of our demands. Hopefully, though, we will get at least a small amount, a decent number, you could say. And the Ethiopian War is basically drawing to a close, which is good. It means we can get these forces, probably send them out to deal with Malaya or France. At any rate, we're going to come back to conclude this next time. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We are basically at the end, so the next episode will probably just draw everything to as best a conclusion as we can, and then go into kind of an after-action report. Thanks again for watching.